another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's get into it. So, I saw where when I woke up, I saw where we had acquired George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. And I have mixed feelings about that. I really do. I really do have mixed feelings about that. He is a good receiver, no doubt. No doubt about it. He is a good receiver, but we heard about his attitude issues in Pittsburgh. Okay, we all heard about his attitude issues in Pittsburgh, and obviously the scuffle he got into with Jordan Lewis at the end of the Pittsburgh game last year, right? Attitude towards coaches, attitude towards teammates. Yeah, so this is one I have mixed feelings about. I just wonder how he's going to act when he feels Dak is not throwing him the ball enough. At one point, this upcoming season, I just wonder how he's going to react to that when he feels that Dak isn't throwing him the ball like he wants to. And is he going to lash out at teammates? Is he going to lash out at Dak? Is he going to lash out at coaches? Okay. And so I have real mixed feelings about this. Okay. I have mixed feelings about good receiver, attitude issues with coaches and teammates. So I did not want the Cowboys bringing him in. I did not want the Cowboys bringing him in. Okay. And then they bring him in. Okay. And mixed feelings. Mixed feelings. Okay. I didn't want him because of his attitude issues. Okay. And I just wonder how that's going to work out. Okay. I just wonder how that's going to work out. And we'll see. Okay. Charles Haley. I remember when the Cowboys bought in Charles Haley. The issues that he had with teammates in San Francisco. Okay. And they brought Charles Haley in. Charles Haley behaved himself. On the field, he did, at least. Some of the things he did off the field. Yeah. So, again, I didn't want the Cowboys bring in George Pickens in. I got mixed feelings about it. So we'll see. Okay. I'll give him a chance. Okay. I'll give him a chance to prove that he's not the person he was in Pittsburgh. So we'll see. Okay. We'll see. So I've said that this is the only fan base that hates its quarterbacks. Okay. Again, Meredith, Greg Morton, Troy Aikman towards the end of his career, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott. Okay. And one of those players, one of the quarterbacks that we hated, was a man who succeeded um, Roger Staubach, okay, Danny White. And there were reporters for Dallas um, who said Danny White could have led the Cowboys to three straight Super Bowl victories in the 80s, and he still would not be as popular as Roger Staubach. Okay. And so Danny White had a saying. Danny White knew that there were going to be people who were never going to be on his side. And Danny White had no problem with that. Okay. So um Danny White remembers um the day after the Cowboys lost to the Rams in the 1979 playoffs. Okay. Um that was the game where Jackie Youngblood broke his leg, but still came back into the game for the Rams and had a sack of Roger Staubach. Okay. And Staubach came into the locker room after the game, and he told Danny White, Danny, I'm done. It's you. Okay. And so and so that's how the torch got passed. Staubach came in and told Danny White, hey, I'm done. Your team now. Um Danny White remembers being asked by reporters almost after every game, is there pressure to replace Roger Staubach? Then Staubach called him and said, hey, don't listen to that kind of stuff. You are your own man. You're going to break my records. Okay. Which Danny White actually did. He actually broke several of Staubach's team records with the Dallas Cowboys. And so when the Cowboys went back to the NFC Championship game in 1980 versus the Philadelphia Philadelphia Roosters, okay, and they lost to the Philadelphia Roosters 20-7, okay. I don't know how this got written on a wall, but Danny White recalls coming to the Cowboys facility the day after the game, and he got on the elevator, and somebody had managed to write Danny White sucks. Okay. It was either on the elevator or the wall of the team facility. And Danny White, Danny White's own words, he said, that was a little bit hurtful, but that's also what comes with the territory too. And so Danny White wasn't, Danny White wasn't making any excuses, especially when you're the quarterback of America's team, right? Ain't gonna make no whole excuses. Um, of course, there's the 81 NFC Championship game. Then 1982 versus Washington, he gets knocked out of the game, and in comes Gary Hogeboom. Okay, and if you recall, Gary Hogeboom actually led the Cowboys on a couple of touchdown drives. Okay, and but we ended up losing to Washington in the NFC Championship game, and led the Cowboys back to the playoffs the next year, but couldn't stop throwing interceptions to the Rams that game, and ended up losing 24-17 to the Rams, and the fans let him know about it. Even a few teammates let him know about it. Okay, and so that's when Coach Landry was going was going to make the switch to Gary Hogaboom the following season. Okay. Um, at the time, um, when Tom Landry made the switch over to Gary Hogaboom, um, Danny White had a 42-15 record as a starter. Okay. So going into 1984, he was 42-15 with the Cowboys, which is pretty damn good, right? And it's just that pretty damn good. If he had won at least one Super Bowl, if Danny White had led the Cowboys to at least one Super Bowl, that 42-15 record as a starting quarterback would have been from pretty damn good to pretty damn great. Okay. So, but 42-15 as a starter, that kind of doesn't mean nothing when you don't win. Well, I guess it does mean something, okay? It means something. It's something, okay? Having a 42-15 record as a starter means something. But if you don't win a Super Bowl, then that kind of gets pushed back, okay? That kind of gets pushed into the background, right? And so when Landry was going to make the switch to Gary Hogaboom, Brad Sham noticed this when um, Tom Landry was about to announce that Hogaboom was a starter. Okay, Brad Sham noticed that the hair, Tom Landry's hair, had the back of Tom Landry's hair had actually stood up a bit. Okay, Brad Sham noticed that Tom Landry's hair was kind of standing up a little bit. The back of his hair was standing up a little bit, and I guess you can kind of say he was trying to get a pulse of the team or whatnot. Um, but again, like I said, some teammates had been giving it to Danny White during the '83 playoff loss to the Rams. So I guess Landry wanted to see if a quarterback shift switch would benefit the team. It kind of didn't because he went back to Danny White in the middle of the '84 season when I believe Gary Hogaboom was injured, if I'm mistaken. Okay. Um, and so Carl Banks basically ended Danny White's career in 1986. Okay. Carl Banks basically ended Danny White's career in 1986 when the Cowboys started off 6-2. Okay. Um, Not only did he end Danny White's season, he also kind of in some ways ended Danny White's career because he just wasn't the same quarterback after um, Carl Banks broke his wrist. And not only broke his wrist, but ligaments. Okay. And so his career was basically over after the '86 season. He did play 2 more years, but just wasn't the same. Okay. And Danny White hurting his wrist in that game made my wrist hurt. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but yeah. Danny White's probably the most hated quarterback in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Um, I think he's more hated than Tony Romo. He's certainly more hated than Dak Prescott. More hated than Craig Morton. More hated than um, Don Meredith. Okay. So Yeah, but um, the fans may have hated him because he wasn't real hard to start back, but most of his teammates see it the other way around. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure that's all that matters to it matters to Danny White. Okay, so again, there were people who were never going to be on his side. Danny White, he didn't have a problem with that. Okay, all right, that's it, and that's all for Classic Dallas Cowboys talk. I am out of here. Peace out. God bless.